For the homeward part of our Plan B Queensland holiday, we started in Birdsville. We originally thought we may have to wait there for the road to open, but it was open when we wanted to leave, so that was good. And we went across to Windorah, camped on the Cooper Creek here for 2 nights because it was a lovely spot, and then down through Quilpie. This is all channel country, so there was lots of water beside the road and we were continually going across channels. Then into a little place called Tombine, which is described as the pub without a town, and we just camped next to the pub in the free camp. The next morning onto Yulo and Cunnamulla, and then across to Bollon, where we had another night on the, I think it's the Warrego Creek. The next day we went across to St George, where we used our voucher from our raffle prize from the beginning of the trip, and then down through Thallon, Mungindi, across to Collarenebri, down through Walgett to Canamble. Just outside Canamble we stayed at, actually this side, stayed at a farm stay overnight, and then for the last day we just came home through Gilgandra and Mudgee, had lunch in Mudgee, and then home, of course having to do the bypass because the Great Western Highway is still closed.
We had an enjoyable stay at Birdsville, which included a drink at the pub and a good walk around the town. We're the only ones in the free camping area, which is quite amazing. Because of the water, as you can see here, Birdsville was fairly isolated from all tourists and everyone. No one from South Australia could make it through. We were heading to Windorah and to a camping ground on the Cooper Creek. We were a little worried that the Cooper Creek camping area might be isolated by the floodwaters, but we're pleasantly surprised that we could actually drive down onto the beach itself and camp up. We camped up fairly high on the beach area and just admired the view of the water flowing through the Cooper Creek that of course leads to Karathara or Lake Eyre. So it's quite a lot of water coming through the whole area. There were a number of other people camped up as well near us. It was such a lovely spot, we actually stayed 2 nights there and the weather was just absolutely perfect for it. Sometimes there's no roadside areas to have lunch, so we just pull over on the side of the road. Two Pines was our next overnight stop, and it's just really a pub surrounded by properties. There's not much there, but there was a lot of people, as you can see. Again, it was quite wet and muddy.
But he came to understand that education was that important,
After morning tea in Yulo, we then headed towards our next overnight stop at Bollon via Cunnamulla, and it was a great spot again to stay overnight. And then the next day we headed into St George, to have our morning tea there. We actually won a raffle for the world's longest or greatest morning tea in Bolland when we first came through. So now it was time to cash it in. So it was a great opportunity to do that. St George is a pretty little town situated in Queensland, and really it's on the main road then back into New South Wales. You could
I know what's more main. We should see them.
For our last night, we stayed at Nakadu Free Camp. It's actually a donation camp on a farm. It was probably the strangest place we stayed the whole trip. It was a lovely spot. It was just outside Canamble, but they had a very interesting collection of bric-a-brac. Last lunch of our 6-week trip was, of course, in Mudgee. We always seem to have lunch in Mudgee before that final drive back home, which is about 2.5 hours. Mudgee is a lovely town, and we enjoy having lunch there. Home from what was originally our Kimberley trip, but it actually turned into a Plan B. And the Plan B was quite a success because we had quite a few bees.
We did have lots of bees.
We had lots of bees in our trip this time. Second night, actually at Bolland.
Yep.
And then we did 3 major things, I guess, that all involved the number.
So the first one was Bowra, which was the Australian Wildlife Conservancy place just out of Cunnamulla.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one was volunteering with Blaze Aid up at Julia Creek. Then we went on to Budjamala, which we'd wanted to go to for quite a while. So that was great to be able to get there. It wasn't fully open, but it was still really good. And there was hardly anybody there, which was even better. And then after that, we went up to Burketown. which we'd been to before, but we hadn't stayed at Leichhardt Falls, so that was lovely. And then we eventually came down through to Birdsville, which I'd wanted to do from the beginning, but with the road shut, we didn't think we'd be able to do it. But the roads opened magically for us, so we went to Thorlia, then on to Windorah and Birdsville. And then on the way home, we had another night at Bollen because it's just a lovely
All
place.
the bees again.
Yep, more bees. I'm trying to think if there are any others. I don't think there were.
I don't think there's any others. No, but
anyway, it was a really good trip. We didn't feel like we'd just been, killing time or going
we
somewhere
weren't rushed,
we didn't
were
want
we?
to go. Yeah, it was lovely and relaxed. Yes, we didn't. We took things a bit slower than we often do. We didn't quite follow the rule of threes. The rule of threes is drive less than 300 kilometres, arrive before 3 p.m, and we usually did those two things, and then stay 3 nights, which we didn't do very often. But we stayed 2 nights at a lot of places, which we don't very often
do. Then in the end, we stayed actually 4 nights at Budjamala.
Yes.
Because we liked it so much.
Extending that. Yep.
And it was a good alternative to going to the Kimberleys.
We were very glad we hadn't, because the weather in the Kimberleys while we were away was terrible. It was wet and roads were just muddy. It wouldn't have been a good time to go at all.
Couldn't have been a good time.
No.
So we'll plan that for next year. We're just talking about that now. We'll probably take 3 months next year sometime to go right across and do the west coast of Western Australia. And we'll just plan that out, and probably for June, July, August next year.
Yeah.
So home, and that's the end of our video series.
Yep. See ya. Bye.